This time on Boneyard Revivals, Tammy the Tahoe lives again. As you can see, we're back with old Tammy the Tahoe. And if you haven't watched the first two videos on this pristine, majestic unit, I'll try to remember to leave them linked up here for you. Go watch them so you kind of get the whole story. Anyways, for those of you that have seen the first two videos, you know that we bought it for 500 bucks. It ran, but it had this weird issue where it would fire up and run great. Then the second it warmed up, it would just stall. Whether it was idling or whether it was, you know, you put it in gear and you go to move it around, it would drive for a little bit and then it would just shut off. The second video, we threw a camshaft and a crankshaft position sensor in this thing. We just fired the parts cannon at it. Poof! And it didn't fix a single thing. Actually, at the end of that video, when I backed it down the driveway and it died, that's the last time it has actually ran. And today we're gonna actually try to show you the right thing to do, get into some diagnostic testing. Let's see what's actually wrong with this instead of just firing parts at it. With that being said, I am terrible with electronics and I personally hate it. So I'm gonna have someone who, you know, has the better brain for doing that stuff step in. And we're gonna have my old man swing by and we're gonna go through this thing and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. So you want to plug the scanner in then, since the tack wasn't moving, and go from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, ultimately, you know, that could back you right up to, well, if you're getting your cam position and your crank position signals, but you got no tack out, that kind of points that you might have an ECM problem, or you could also have something shorting out, you know, your 5-volt reference, you know, and we just got to sort through all that.
All right, let me go plug the old scanner in then.
Crank signal.
Not showing anything.
No, not showing us from cam position sensor.
Like I said, I ran before. Watch me goof something up. That wouldn't happen. Okay, it probably would.
Okay.
Colors are irrelevant when you're using phone wires to make it all happen. So, you know, as long as we can memorize which ones are which, it's fine.
Solid orange is power.
Okay.
Orange
Striped
with the white stripe is ground, and the green with the white stripe is signal.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Looks like we've done all right there.
Okay. So to fill everybody in, we spent a bunch of time, you know,
Trying to back probe a connector.
yeah, which taking way too long with with extra stuff and whatever
We
else.
had to use what we had, which wasn't exactly ideal, but yeah, now we just gotta rip our hands up and get that plugged in, and you know, connect up to it, and
See what we got.
yeah.
And hopefully it works.
If
Maybe.
not, then we're gonna fire some electrons at it and see if we can make it work that way.
See if we probe it in from. So basically, what you're saying is that if we're not seeing, if something's up with the ground or the signal wire or the power wire, basically with us having them probed in like that, we're gonna run it through its paces, through the actual wires there, and we're using those wires the first go around as to make sure that we actually have continuity with all three of them. And then if we don't, then we're gonna actually supply power through our probes to basically kind of like cut out the original wiring in the truck, and then, you know, see if we gain any better results that way, is what you're saying.
You mean say SUV, not truck?
Whatever it is. Old Tammy the Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any signal coming out of it.
So
Zero. Nothing.
brand new cam. Bad brand new cam position sensor?
It's possible. When we tried cranking it before, we had voltage. We were seeing 10, 11 volts.
Mm-hmm.
Voltage didn't go away.
now that we have it probed in and it's plugged into the cam position sensor, we're not seeing a return out of the cam position sensor. Which would mean no...
well, be one of two things. Either us messing with our wires, trying to get them in there, we partially dislodged it, or we got no cam sensor coming out of it. No signal return.
See, what's weird is that when I put the new one in, it worked. But again, you have to remember too, it lost everything before we started messing with it. So part of me, as dumb as this sounds, and it's kind of reversing work that we already did, I almost want to clean up the old cam shaft position sensor and throw it back in.
Yeah, I mean, if we...
Because that would, at least that would get rid of, that would remove a variable or
Yeah.
create 6 more.
But yeah, basically, if we disconnect that connector, do our resistance test across our test wire that we installed, we still got continuity. We got nothing coming back.
So basically what you're saying is disconnect the plug out of the camshaft sensor,
and just
run it through
double check.
its paces, make sure it still has power and everything through all of them, and then basically that will pretty much...
Here's the other thing we could try. Keys off or on?
Yeah, it's on. Leave it on or need it off?
Let me disconnect that with this hooked up, because we are between the ground and also our signal wire. It's what's called pull-up voltage.
Okay.
Like with it disconnected, like you should see some voltage difference between ground and whatever, you know. And let's see if we get any reading on our meter.
So you just want to disconnect it then?
Well, we're going to disconnect it, you know, at first to see if anything changes on here.
While it's cranking?
No,
No, just
disconnect
disconnect
it.
it. Okay.
Key on though.
Key on, yes. Okay. Well, key is still on. Let me... Can you reach it from this side, or you want me to get it from the other side?
4. We got 4. 3. 4. 4.
Yeah.
4.
Looks like we got it.
I think it's sensor itself.
Kind of looking
Kind of
that
pointing
way.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because that's a standard Motors product, brand
Everything's made
new.
in China anymore though.
True.
Everything's made in China.
And this, folks, is why in the last video, when I just shot the parts cannon at it, sometimes, well, 9 times out of 10, it don't work. Because I thought I was doing myself a favor by throwing a new one in, but if this brand new one, it turns out to be bad, and we put the old one in, and all of a sudden it fires back up and runs again. I don't think that's not going to resolve the issue, in my opinion, because there's still something else wrong with this. But if it at least fires up and runs again and starts acting the way it used to, then basically we pretty much put a brand new bad camshaft sensor in this thing. So what are you thinking? Old one out, new one? Oh, sorry, new one out, old one back in at this point?
Here, before we do that, let's just do a quick resistance test across that
This one?
sensor, just to make sure that, you know,
Something else that's weird isn't going down?
yep. I mean, we got something going on there, so like nothing's open. I mean, 5,000 ohms there. Lots of ohms there. Lots and lots of them. So 1.4 mega ohms, but that's on the secondary side. So I mean, you expect to see that there's no direct connection inside that for the secondary side. Yeah, let's we're gonna yank that out, throw that one back in there, see what happens.
Oh, nut crusher, here we go. Here we go. Oh.
That's the funniest thing that you can learn as a mechanic is sometimes it stumps the best of them when they put a brand new part on it. Don't fix it.
Yeah.
But you know, the reality of it is there's a lot of brand new bad parts out there. Okay, we already tested the original cam position sensor that come out of this engine, and just a quick resistance test. This is the brand new one that was installed, and we're testing our resistance across the primary coil. That's going to be, there's basically a coil wire down in here that kind of creates a magnetic field, and we're testing across it. and we got 9/10 of a mega ohm. Like, that's like is like open, which no good. Here's our positive, our voltage input into the sensor to our sensor feedback. We're still just half a mega ohm. That's huge resistance. We're going to test right now from our negative input into the sensor to the feedback, and we're talking 295 kilo ohms. That's basically with a coil wire inside this here resistance. That is a very high value of resistance, and I wouldn't be surprised if this brand new thing is just
Not good.
The only other thing could be like if your cam is no longer turning with the crankshaft. I mean,
Stop saying that. Not funny. No.
Don't offend.
This is a good 5.3.
see if we get our cam position signal back to the scanner.
No.
Bubba shot the jukebox last night. Said he heard a sad song, made him cry. All right, so we're watching both of them to see if we have signal once again.
Yep. Okay.
All right,
We got our cam position
we got
back.
cam position back.
That proves that the brand new cam position sensor.
The brand new one was
garbage.
back. Now that's plugged into the signal wire, so it's gonna jump.
Yes.
Okay, so if that's jumping, that means camshaft position sensor signal's good. And then down here on the scanner, this is moving, that means crank is good. So let's see what we got. Yep. Yep, got both.
Okay.
So that means cam and crank are doing something again.
Now that we actually have a good cam position sensor
Again.
in it, that tells us our cam is turning,
Yes.
which is great.
Yes.
We, cam not turning, like bad stuff is happening there. But by doing that, like now we're one step closer. Don't run yet, but
Okay.
just move us on to the next
So
step. of the
basically,
process.
going through all this, we're now back to square one. At this point, are we going to dive into testing it right at the coil, seeing if we have power to the coils, if all the coils are firing, and then kind of move closer, starting from the engine, moving back towards the ECU, start probing, start figuring out, all right, do we have power? Do we have whatever we need here for the ignition part to happen? Because now we have no ignition.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, we could look at our injector pulses too, and
Make
and
sure
see,
that it's...
But with no tack signal, that usually is a telltale sign that something could be going wrong in the ECU, but we got to prove it out.
And that's the thing, because at least at this point, this whole entire time, I've had my spark plug tester plugged into cylinder number 2, and that has not been lighting up. At least when you saw it turning over, it wasn't lighting up, right? So no ignition at all whatsoever. So we have it. Now basically we need to start backtracking. So we have nothing to the plugs, obviously. Now we need to go to the coil, and then we'll backtrack from there.
Your coil's firing. You got to put some light on the situation.
So basically what you're going to do is you're going to run those 3 wires, plug them into the actual coil side, and if that light bulb lights up, that means we have power going to the coil. If it don't light up, that means we have no power going to the coil.
But of course, always you want to test your janky test.
Yeah, make sure your
apparatuses
light
first.
bulb actually works.
So you don't get thrown askew, and we can do that easily.
You're gonna toss that bad boy on the old battery and see if it lights up. Okay, I like this.
Why not?
And that's the cool part is because not everybody at home is gonna have these meters and the scanner. So this kind of is a back to the basics, kind of do it yourself at home kind of deal. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah, we got some. Yep. Illumination.
Okay. Light
Look at that.
bulb works. Thank you, Thomas Edison. Who was that guy? Thought Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Oh, he stole the idea. Oh, well,
Hey,
gotta make money somehow, right?
off these coil packs, your main power input is going to be that red one there, and over on the far side, that's your ground. That's what actually fires the coil. The other ones are for voltage metering back to the ECU, but these are the two that you need to see that the ECU, ECM, whatever acronym you want to use, drives that coil to fire the spark plug. So we need to look on those to see if we got anything out here.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that we do not. I mean, we do not have a tack signal. There's something else going on here, but
we're gonna just
look at it.
Well, and that's the thing is, backtracking it, you're at least confirming stuff that you think you know or already think is working or not working, and it's confirming pre-alluded assumptions, I guess, is the way you'd say that.
Yeah, this thing's a turd.
Hey, come on now. Tammy is a good old unit. She just needs a little TLC. She's been neglected for a little while.
The one other thing that is worthy of mention, ECU driver circuits, when you're doing stuff like this, sensors and stuff like that, the transistors and capacitors and everything inside for a coil is designed to take high current loads. You may not want to wire a test light into a sensor circuit to check for voltage. But being it's a coil circuit, it's capable of carrying high loads, so that's important to note.
Yeah. So that's in now. So if I crank it, if we have power to the coil, that should light up. If not, we don't have power to the coil then. That's where we're at right now. Yep.
13 degrees.
What does the degreeage mean then?
Well, degrees of advance with it's taken off the cam, and that's like another indication that it's seeing the cam and the crankshaft position sensor.
Just take that and throw it off the ground like a few times, and I bet you it'll work good. Oh, dropping the light.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. He puts it back in, runs mint. We re-listing her on old marketplace for 10 grand. I know what I got. Nothing look too terrible there.
I mean, obviously we can communicate with the scanner, so that tells us it is powering up.
Mm-hmm.
It appears that it is trying to perform output functions, so, you know, it is somewhat functional, but is there a single component in there that is not
messing up?
You know, it's just dying internally.
Yeah.
And giving us our problems.
Well, let me just do something here real quick. Work. Okay. Fix that problem now.
That did actually try to do something there.
Okay, so obviously you saw that we tested to see if we actually had power to our coils, which we did not. So what we ended up doing, kinda, with the light bulb. Off camera, we actually did probe it and confirmed yet again that we didn't have any power.
Across the connector.
Yes.
However, we discovered that we did have an ignition voltage pulse to them, but no ground.
Yeah. So to make sure we have a solid ground, we probed on both sides of the initial wires that go in that send power and ground and all that good stuff to the coils on an even bank, and on the odd bank we have them back to the ground on our battery. And let's see if it fires up and runs now. What do you think? You think that's going to be an affirmative? Maybe. We'll find out.
There might be a big fireball coming out the tail end of this.
You know, for how much we were cranking it and how much excess fuel there is, it's going to run terrible for the first like 5 minutes till it clears up.
We better call the fire department.
We're going to burn it down. All right.
Shall we go?
Let's see what happens. Yeah! Woo! Long live Tammy! Let's back it out of here before we burn the house down. Turn the heat on too, it's cold. Huh. She locked the doors.
I can't get in.
She's like, please don't beat me now that I run. Oh, we're gonna beat you all right. I don't know, I'm feeling kind of frisky. But, you know, that's up to you whether you want to walk back or not. Well, I got my cellular device, so we can call for a ride. About to touch fresh pavement for the first time in months. Here we go. It dies like right here. Now on the bumps, you're gonna hear the shock just beat the heck out of the body. If you just ignore it and turn the radio up real loud, you won't hear it, and you can kind of just ignore it. It's gonna be so funny when like we hit a bump hard enough in the grounds and our makeshift ground and we lose 4 cylinders. Displacement on demand before displacement on demand was a thing.
Well, we've done that before. You just throw her in low range
And let her eat. Oh yeah, get some 5,500 RPM pull. We'll loop her around here and take her back. We'll get.
You're not trusting her that much yet.
Not at all. Not at all.
I was waiting for you to just cut the wheel and mash her and see if she
I was thinking about it, but it. Well,
I was bracing for it.
I pulled this in the shop the one day and brake stud it, and it posi shotted. I was like, wow.
Well, what are we doing right now?
We're just let it warm up. All right, we're letting it warm up. I want to make.
Oh, you want to keep this? Oh,
Yes. This is a pristine unit now. This is a good vehicle. Oh, the shock smacking the body is just fantastic.
Well, we're taking her on a test trip now, and
Well, this is test trip number 2. We're gonna go a little further than we did the first time, just to ensure it. But usually the way that this thing ran when we first got it, it would run, and like I could move it around the driveway and stuff. Once it came up, you know, fully on temp, that's when it would die, and then it wouldn't fire back up until it cooled down again. We fired it up, pulled it out of the garage, went for the first test trip, you know, as you guys saw. And let it sit in the driveway, and it ran it idled in the driveway for 20 minutes or so, probably, give or take. And we're back out, you know, driving it now, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, so far so good. So
seems to be much better now. She got all 8 firing.
putting fuel in Tammy for the first time at an actual gas station. Now, what y'all gotta remember is that Joey said this thing can't take more than, you know, half to, 3/4 of a tank full until our, all ratchet straps give out. So we're gonna probably put, 6-7 gallons in her. That should give her right around half, and we'll be decent there. Good morning. We're back out here with Tammy today. We filled it up at the gas station last night. We actually put like a bunch of miles on this thing last night, but ran and drove flawlessly. It sat overnight. Let's go fire it up and see if it's still running. Oh, such a great unit. Yet a majestic pile of garbage all at the same time. We're definitely gonna run the balls off this thing now. But so we ran this thing around a bunch. We actually put like close to 100 miles on this thing. But we still had my dad's jumpers in on the grounds on both sides. And then we had it ran back to the battery. So what I did is I tried chasing down what actual ground wire there was. And there was one that came down here, and it also attached into the battery one that was down on the side of the block. I'll throw clips of that up now. Basically, we cleaned that off and put that back on, but it was hard to tell because there's a bunch of corrosion on it. And I don't know how far it traveled up the wire. So we cleaned that up, put that back together, and hopefully that, that would have been the correct way to actually solve the ground issue. But what we ended up doing as well, too, just to ensure it, we tapped in to the actual plug over here and then ran our own ground wire. Now, this is janky as heck, and I don't recommend, if this was a vehicle that we planned on driving all the time, it was going to be a daily, or it was literally anyone else doing this but me, don't do it the way that I did it. The reason why I did it that way was because it was quick and easy and I knew it was going to work, and I knew that this thing would at least run and drive. And I wasn't worried about doing it the quote-unquote correct way. So that's why we have that jumper ground, you know, ran over there just to ensure that we do have ground to it. Besides the whole, like the back end of the vehicle's ready to fall off literally at any given moment.
Yeah,
but if you just
if
you just
the
ignore,
fact that you can't fill it, you have to watch so you only half fill it.
Yeah. The thing is though, if you just ignore all of that and just turn the radio up, it's great. It's a good ride.
The interior is what sells it.
Honestly, yes, it's so comfortable.
Why I miss SUVs,
This thing's great. Rex has his own spot in the back there, just hanging out, having a good time. Old Tammy the Tahoe lives again. Well, there you have it. Tammy the Tahoe runs and drives once again. Now we're gonna bomb this around locally. Not crazy. Maybe we'll fix the shock tower mount like I talked about before, and maybe address a little other stuff. But besides that, we're gonna run it. Like I said, the 5.3's coming out eventually. We have a project that's gonna go into, but now I feel better because like most of the vehicles in the driveway now run again, because you know, a month or two ago the numbers weren't looking good. But yeah, this is cool. It runs and it drives really good, actually, like surprisingly good. Transmission is fantastic. It was probably rebuilt, honestly. And the 5.3, man, whew, she's got gumption when you need it. It, you know, it revs out the $6,000 and it does 70-80 miles an hour like nobody's business. And is that sketchy with how clapped this thing is? Yes. Should I be driving it? No. Are we? Obviously. You just watched me do it. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did learn something. If you didn't go watch the other 2 videos on Tammy, maybe you should. Just throwing it out there. Again, somewhere in this video, I'll leave the links up here for you. But huge thank you to my dad for swinging over, helping me out getting this thing running. It was a good time. We got to learn a lot of stuff. I hope you guys learned something out of it. And yeah, get out in the garage, start wrenching on your projects, make your dreams happen. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Wow, not even waving back. That's cool. Thanks, Joe. I saw that. Unreal. Can't even wave back to me. God. Neighbors these days.